Dear student, today our topic is resource economics. So, what do you think? What we are going to learn in this topic? Yes, of course, we are going to learn about resources. We know that there are different sort of resources in the planet. So, we are going to see their economics today. So, first of all, see what economics is. So, we all know economics is a great subject. So, it deals with the study of how to make trade offs. Trade offs, you can simply understand that it's a business. Trade off means you can think of it as a business. So, the study of how to make trade offs, the science of the allocation of scarce resources are called economics. So, this is the definition of economics, simple economics. But we, as an environmentalist, we have to think economics with respect to our environment. So, if we relate economics with our environment, so that economics would be known as environmental economics. So, what would be the definition of environmental economics? Will it remain the same? Of course not, because economics is something else, and economics with respect to environment is has another meaning. So, environmental economics can be claimed as the study of trade offs between environmental services and preservation and other economic and social activities. I think we should go through this definition again so that we must be clear ourselves, because this definition can be asked in your exam. So let's review the definition of environmental economics. Environmental economics has another sense. It is not just like economics. Economics is just the study of how to make trade offs, how to do business, the science of allocation of scarce resources. On the other hand, environmental economics is the study of trade offs. It has the same similarity over here, that it is also the study of trade offs. But this trade offs is between environmental services and preservation and other economic and social activities. So now we should move to another slide, and it says that trade-offs occur at every geographical scale. Yes, we do agree with this statement. We are experiencing losses of habitat and the destruction of many renewable resources. We all know this, that we are suffering from the loss of habitat. Our ecosystem is going to be endangered, and they are scarce in resources, especially renewable resources. So many of our most important global fisheries are lost, and you know that very soon food scarcity will lead us to ocean food. There would not be left anything except fishes or marine life. So people have to depend on marine organism for their food requirement. So what we are doing, is it a sustainable development? No, it's not, because most of global fisheries are endangered. Massive losses of tropical forest, because we are in a habit of deforestation, and that leads to massive losses of tropical forest. Tropical forests are few in numbers now. Once it was in abundance, it was in massive numbers. Rapid die-off of coral reefs. Coral reefs are the organisms that lives beneath or bottom in the ocean. It's a marine organism, and it lives in deep in the ocean bottom. You might have seen these in cartoons. I love to watch cartoon, and I saw these coral reefs in cartoon. They look really amazing with different colors, and they are actually found in different colors because of different pigments present in them. Sometimes they look red, sometimes they look orange. So coral reefs are actually the food of so many marine organisms in the ocean. Those the most all the fishes or all the marine organisms are not capable of coming on the surface of the ocean for respiration or for their food requirement. So some are so small or invertebrate in structural formation that they have to stay in the bottom throughout their life. So there they have to depend on coral reefs for their food requirements. So rapidly, coral reefs are dying because of pollution, water pollution that we are doing with the ocean. When we visit the ocean, we throw plastics, garbage in ocean, and that garbage, that plastic becomes the source of death of marine organism, included coral reefs. Extensive losses of wetlands. Wetlands is lost. That's why in our ocean there was a time that we were hibernating turtles in our ocean because the near ocean the area was wetland. So in wetlands turtle was habited, but as mangroves, we are cutting off mangroves. It's a name of a tree. So mangroves were there at one time. So we are cutting off mangroves. So that leads wetland to become dry, and the land is no more wet. Then the turtle is also endangered in Karachi. Especially, we will talk about our country. So in our country, once we were rich in turtle, but now it's going to be endangered because we have lost our wetlands. We are cutting off mangroves. Mangroves can only grow in wetlands, and these wetlands one can be seen near the ocean, not at that spot where we visit for where we go to for picnic or to visit the ocean, but there is some you have to cross some distance to see these wetlands, but there is no wetland anymore in the near the ocean. Conservation of grassland and other ecosystem to desert at a fast rate. Conversion of grasslands and other ecosystem. We have converted our grassland, our ecosystem to desert in a rapid way, in a very rapid way. We are cutting down forest. So forests are cutting down, trees are cutting down. So of course, grassland could not be seen over there. What can we see once where there was grassland and rich ecosystem, rich biodiversity. Now we can see only the desert with few organisms which could really survive in hot and tropical temperature of desert. Now the question arises in our mind that why should we study resource economics? We are not economists and we are not going to be an economist in future. We will obviously choose something else. So why there is a need to study resource economics? So there are different reasons. I think you should know these reasons that what is the need to study resource economics. So, study of natural science is not sufficient completely to analyze problems. You already have done everyday science in your previous semester, and you saw that you read whatever about science was all superficial knowledge, the knowledge that deals with your daily life performance or behavior. So that is not sufficient because these signs do not include human behavior. So we should know our behavior towards economics as well. So the economics of the environment has a number of special features that are not typical of many economic problems, because economic problems is not dealing with the trade-offs with the environment. So resource economics deal with the economic problem that is concerned with the environment. So optimal allocation of the environmental resources has implication for future choice. Many decisions regarding environmental resources are irreversible, and market failure is the economic situation defined by an inefficient distribution of goods and services. I repeat, market failure is a term that is frequently used in economics, and it means that it produces an economic situation. Market failure is a situation of economics which is created by insufficient distribution of goods and services. So this point you have to mark it, because this comes in MCQ. This will come in your MCQ, market failure. You must know the definition of market failure. So market failure is an important characteristic of many environmental issues, because you know that you might know the word supply, demand. If the demand is more and the supply is less, then you know the rate will of course increase of that item or that goods. Likely, if the demand is more and demand is more and supply is less, or vice versa, supply is more and demand is less. So of course that market will not progress in a positive way. Optimal allocation requires understanding the whole ecological system and how it responds to changes in both ecological and economic system. This is the reason to study resource economics. I repeat, you must, from this slide, you must know the definition of market failure. You must know the definition of environmental economics. I guess this may comes either in short questions or in MCQs. Resource economics study interaction between economic and natural system with the goal of developing a sustainable and efficient economy. What does it mean? It means that the economist, resource economist, study the relationship between economic and the natural system. Why do resource economists study relationship or the interaction between economic and the natural system? Because they have a goal. And what is their goal? Their goal is to develop a sustainable and efficient economy. So we can say that resource economics is a multidisciplinary field of academic research. Resource economics deal with the supply, demand, and allocation of the earth natural resources. Main objective of resource economics is to better understand the role of resources in the economy in order to develop more sustainable methods of managing those resources to ensure the availability to future generations. This point you have to mark. I repeat this point because I guess this point would better reply to the question if the question is asked that what is the objective of resource economics. So you can write this point at that moment in the reply of this question, that the main objective of resource economics is to better understand, to develop the better understanding the role of resources in the economy in order to develop more sustainable methods of managing those resources to ensure the availability of to future generation. Now, environmental and ecological economics, because we are studying environmental science, so we have to see economics with the view of environment. So environmental and ecological economists is the insight into sustainability provided by mainstream economics are taken much further by environmental and ecological environments. The main areas of contribution include the following: a classification of sustainability views according to assumptions about the conservation of natural natural resources. I repeat, the main areas of contribution of environmental economists is a classification of sustainability that views according to the assumptions about the conservation of natural resources. Secondly, it extends the analysis of externalities to provide a basis for designing anti pollution policies and deciding on the resources it is desirable to devote to avoiding pollution. A range of methodologies for evaluating the services provided by the environmental assets and social capital to extend the inclusiveness of cost and benefit analysis. Models for projecting the pricing and depletion of finite resources. Assessments of the implication of various access rights governing the harvesting of renewable resources. We must focus on harvesting renewable resources. You know this. There is considerable overlap in the subject matter of ecological and environmental economics. The key difference between environment and ecology is of orientation. Environmental economics tends to embrace the neoclassical paradigm as an analysis of the economic system and seeks to incorporate environmental assets and services. Neoclassical paradigm is actually a theory that was proposed by the some economists in the early time, very early time, in the, almost in the 17th century. New classical theory was proposed by some economists. So here the slide is representing that neoclassical paradigm that analyzes the economic system and seeks to incorporate environmental assets and services. So ecological economics give priorities to the health of complex interrelated ecological system and consider how economic behavior can be modified to that end. If we could modify our economic behavior, we could produce a sustainable development in our environment. That is our goal. Fine. Natural resources classification and characteristic. Under this heading, we will see what type of natural resources are present in the environment and how are they classified and what are their basic characteristics. So natural resources are often classified, you know that, either as renewable and non-renewable resources. If we talk about renewable resources, we mean that living fish, coffee, forest, for example, which can restock, renewable. Non-renewable resources, on the other hand, is non-living renewable natural resources that include soil as well as water, wind, tides, and solar radiation. Resources can be classified on the basis of their origin. Sometimes they are classified as biotic and sometimes abiotic. So biotic resources are derived from animals or plants. Biotic is a living component of a community. Biotic biology the same. So the example of biotic resources are plants and animals. On the other hand, abiotic resources are derived from the non-living world, that is land, water, and air. Mineral and power resources are also abiotic resources. Some are derived from nature. In biology and ecology, abiotic components are non-living chemical. and physical factors in the environment which affect ecosystem. So, if we classify resources on the basis of their origin, we will say there are two types of resources on the basis of their origin. Either they are biotic, it means either they are derived from living organism, so they are called biotic. If they are derived from non-living organism like soil, land, water, air, so they would be classified as abiotic resources. Resources characteristics. What are the characteristics of resources? We know much about resources. We have done in our previous lesson also resources. Our first lesson was also on this topic. Now resources actually have three main characteristics, and they are utility, then limited availability, and thirdly the potential for depletion or consumption. So let's see them. In economics, utility is a measure of satisfaction, referring to the total satisfaction received by a consumer from consuming a good or service scarcity. So utility has some different meaning in economics. So in economics, utility is actually the measurement of satisfaction that refer to the total satisfaction received by consumer after consumption of any good or service. Then scarcity. Scarcity is the fundamental economic problem of human being or living being who have unlimited wants and needs in a world of limited resources. You know that we live on our wants and needs. Sometimes we go for our wants, sometimes we go for our needs. But if we want to live a simple life, we look for our needs, only and only for our needs. We would care about our needs only. If our basic needs are satisfied, we would be happy. But sometimes only need is not essential for us. Sometimes we need some other things also. That is not actually our needs, but that becomes our wants. So economics says that we human beings go for wants and needs in their life. So, scarcity is actually a fundamental economical problem of having humans who have unlimited wants and needs in a world of limited resources. We know that we are living in a world which has a scarcity of resources. So, at this time, if we are not literate, if we are not educated, so we will have unlimited wants and needs. The earth would satisfy because earth itself has limited resources and you have unlimited wants and needs in your life, so you would not be happy on the earth. So this phenomena would be called scarcity. It states that society has insufficient productive resources to fulfill all human wants and needs. So, to avoid scarcity, we must limit our wants and needs. And it is also the key for living a happy life. If we could limit our wants and needs, so we would be happy in our life. What do you think? Resource depletion. So, resource depletion is an economic term referring to the exhaustion of raw material within a region. So, resource depletion is most commonly used in reference to farming, fishing, mining, and fossil fuel. What are the causes of resource depletion? There are different causes. So I try to summarize these causes in one slide, and I think it would be good for you also. So just to memorize these causes, and if it comes in exam, just write down the heading, and inshallah you will get good marks. So, if we talk about causes of resource depletion, it may be the overconsumption or excessive or unnecessary use of resources. Most of us are in a habit of overconsumption of any resources. Okay, non-equitable distribution of resources. This is not in our hand, because those who are governing bodies for any resource, they have to look that either there's equity in the distribution of resources, or the distribution is going through unfair means, like water. If we talk about our environment nowadays, we are facing a scarcity of water just because unfair distribution of resources, non-equitable distribution of water has led to the scarcity of water. The water that cannot come to our tap, it can come through tanker. How is it possible? How the tanker mafia gets water to sell us? How is it possible? Of course, it's possible just because of unfair distribution of water. Overpopulation. Overpopulation, we know that population of the world is increasing very rapidly, and there is a one term that we use for population increment, and you know that that term is exponential. World population is growing exponentially. So we have to control population. Why should we control population? Because we are limited with our resources. So with limited resources, the carrying capacity of the earth would not be able to hold large number of population. The next cause of resource depletion is slash and burn agriculture practices currently occurring in many developing countries. This is very common phenomena in our country also, because we are also a developing country. So slash and burn agriculture practices should be stopped, especially in our country. Technological and industrial development. Our industrialization is a key to the economic development. But as if we talk about our country, it is not progressing in a positive way. It is not progressing through the implementation of laws and regulations. So that's why we are suffering from resource depletion for these industrial development and technologies. Erosion, erosion of soil. You know that soil erode. So erosion of soil, for any reason, it may be through earthquake or volcanic eruption, to any reason, it is also a source of resource depletion. Whenever volcanic eruption takes place, it destroys the living life of that area. Irrigation. Irrigation is the main problem in our farming activities, and we are basically an agricultural country. So our economy is based on agriculture. So if we could not water our crops, so how can we produce our yield? How can we produce our crops? So mining for oil and minerals. Aquifer depletion. Aquifer is a region beneath the soil, beneath the earth, where you could find pure water. Pure water. This water may be pure, may become be pure by rainwater, or by mineral water, or by drain water. But aquifer is a region where you can find pure water free from any impurity. So this aquifer is formed in beneath the soil, deep below the soil, almost after 100 feet. If we dig soil till 100 feet, so we would be able to find aquifer where we could find pure water free from all sort of impurity. Then Forestry. One of the cause of resource depletion is forestry. We are destroying our forestry at a very rapid rate. Forests are cutting down rapidly. So we could say that forest is for human being. God has made everything for human being. That the whole world is created for human being survival. So yes, it's of our right to cut down forests for to meet our needs. But if we are cutting down one forest, so one tree, so what our responsibility is to plant two more trees after cutting down one tree. If we cut one tree, plant two more so that you can balance the system, you can balance the environment. So we are not thinking in this way. Now this is the time to think in this way that plantation is very necessary to serve for survival of human being. Pollution or contamination of resources. Pollution you have done in more detail. Pollution, there are so many type of pollution we have around us, and I wonder in this polluted area we are surviving. Okay, but we are not in good health. You know that we are not in good health as our ancestors were, because they were not survive. They didn't survive in a polluted environment. So pollution or contamination of resources is also one of the cause of resource depletion. So you must have remember these points on your fingertips. Economic approaches to resource management. So in economics approaches to resource management, the common denominator is typically some form of measurement that can be related to individual welfare. Economics provides a comprehensive framework for analyzing more aspects of natural resources and environmental issues. Major issues in use of natural resources are productivity, equity, and sustainability. So, if we talk about sustainability, so you know that this word is derived from Latin word, and this the most widely quoted definition for sustainability and sustainable development, that of Brundtland Commission of the United Nations on March 20th, 1987. So sustainable development, you must know the definition of sustainability or sustainable development in your fingertips. So, sustainable development is the development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. This is the actual definition given by United Nations on March 20th, 1987, and you are supposed to write down the exact same definition in exams, and I am pretty much sure that this definition or this question is going to be asked in your exams. Environmental, social, and economic demands has three pillars of sustainability. Environmental, social, and economic demands are the three pillars of sustainability. You could add these three names to get good marks. Resource productivity. Resource productivity is the quantity of good or service. In other words, service means what? Outcome that is obtained through the expenditure of unit resource. This can be expressed in monetary terms as the monetary yield per unit resource. Resource productivity and resource intensity are key concepts used in sustainability measurement. The sustainability objective is to maximize resource productivity while minimizing resource intensity. If we look into the list of environmental issues are so many, you know that. So I listed few environmental issues that are very much important, and are climate change, conservation, energy, environmental degradation, environmental health, intensive farming, land degradation, soil degradation, land use degradation, overpopulation, ozone depletion, and pollution. And you know that pollution you have done. The pollution are so many: water pollution, air pollution, soil pollution, and reservoirs, that is resource depletion. So if we look into the climate change, you know that world climate is changing very rapidly, and this change is due to human behavior. Human negative behavior towards environment has caused climate to be changed. The climate is changed to the warmer side, and this warming of the climate causes the melting of the glaciers in a very rapid way. Almost we have 5,000 glaciers in our country, and that are melting in a very rapid way, and that rapid melting will cause the increase of the sea level. If the sea level will rise, then of course it will cause destruction of the ecosystem. Conservation, what do you mean by conservation? Conservation of heat, conservation of energy. We are not able to conserve anything, we are just destroying everything in the environment. Energy, environmental degradation, main issue of the atmosphere, especially in Pakistan. Environmental health, coronavirus is one of the evidence of environmental health. Why corona has spread so rapidly? Because our environmental health is not good. So that coronavirus got chance to produce its generation in the world. He couldn't. He didn't world. Intensive farming. We are in a habit of intensive farming. What does it mean? It means that you know that we are agriculture country. Basically, our economy is based on agriculture. Okay, fine. So what are we doing? We are cultivating. Suppose that I'm a farmer and I have a piece of land, and continuously for 10 years, each year I'm growing only wheat on that soil. So what would happen with that soil if continuously if single crop is farming in that land? So that soil will lost all its nutritional value for growing healthy crop. So what should we do? What should farmer do? Farmer should rotate farming. Rotational farming should be would be appreciated to the farmer. But who is going to teach a farmer? We do not have any education program for the farmer, and our farmer psychology is also not in that way that he will learn anything from anyone who is from the urban sites. He will say that I'm in this profession from my birth, and my forefathers were also farmer, and I know how to do farming. So you know that we have to change our mentality also, and we have to try hard to change the mind of our village people who are innocent and who do not have much knowledge of science and technology, as we are blessed with, as we are living in urban city. So we know that intensive farming will cause environmental issues. Continuously, if in a single piece of land I will grow any crop. If you want to take example of wheat, okay, fine, think of wheat. If you will continuously grow wheat on one piece of land for long years, for say for instance for 10 years, so what would happen? One time, in the ninth year, the crop yield will not be good. You could not be produce good quality of wheat because your soil has lost all its nutritional value that is required to produce good quality of crop. So what should we do with that crop or with that land? We should do rotational farming. For suppose for long 3 years, I'm growing crop on my land. Then I have to change my mind and I have to sorry, I have to grow something else like I can grow maize, I can grow sugar cane on that land. So in this way, it would be called rotational farming. So rotational farming will make soil rich, and I could be get good quality of crop. Land degradation, land is destroying. We are degrading land, landfill, China cutting, landfill sites. You all know this. Soil has fermentation. Soil is contaminated everywhere. Sewage water has destroyed the quality of soil. Land use. You know that we have built our buildings, high sky buildings, on our nalas. Recently, there was a one news that Shaheen Complex and some other offices over there are built on nalas. So land use mafia is working in a very active way. Overpopulation is growing exponentially. Ozone depletion, we have to stop it quickly, but thanks to Corona, thanks only for depleting for stopping this depletion, ozone depletion. Otherwise, no doubt, Corona has taken lives of so many people. We could not deny this. But one thing Corona has done, that it has stopped for the time being. For the time being, the ozone depletion is stopped, and you know the reason very well. I'm not going in detail the reason. You know that ozone depletion is stopped for the time being, and it will again start depleting, because we are again doing negative for our environment. We are producing more carbon, we are producing more greenhouse gases, so it will obviously cause depletion of ozone layer again. Pollution, water pollution, our sewage system and drum are merged together, and sometimes, and most of the time, we see that sewage water is mixed with our water that we use for our consumptions. Air pollution, air pollution is again due to NOx, SOx, and carbon dioxide. And resource depletion, we are in a habit of resource depleting. We are in a habit of depleting resources in a rapid way. So equity and issues in natural resources. So equity drives from a concept of social justice. We should think of social justice. It represents a belief that there are some things which people should have, that they are basic needs that should be fulfilled, and that policy should be directed and impartially fairness and justice towards these. Equity means that there should be a minimum level of income and environmental quality below which nobody falls. But we don't care for it. Currently, our poverty line is below average. We have fallen to 24.3% poverty level, while the normal range is 25%. So we are not thinking in a call it in equity. No, we care for ourselves, and if we will not stop caring for ourselves only, we will not stop our environmental degradation. There are nine equity issues. Nine equity issues. One is income and employment system. We all know that employment system is not fair. If we have Parchi, we can get good post in any office, any organization. Income, you know that there are different ways to get income. Access to facilities and services, there is no equity between facilities and services. It is not equal for everyone. Everyone cannot be facilitated and get service In the same manner, that makes the difference of rich and poor. Access to natural resources. Everybody does not have access to natural resources. Fairness in competition. Yes, we believe in unfairness. So we go for unfairness. We don't believe in fairness. Natural resource exploitation is very rapidly in natural resources. Negative externalities. Everything is negative is good for us. Non-production function, compensation towards, and sustainability reinvestment. These are the 9 issues of equities. So this is all about resource economics. This topic is pretty much important with respect to exams. So I hope I tried my level best to make you understand these things. If you feel any problem, do contact me on my WhatsApp number. You would be welcome anytime. Thank you.